Boom, that's how we're starting this baby out. Yeah, what YouTube video does that, folks? We're talking NFL today. We got a slate of things to talk about. Week 1 is in the books. This is going to get you guys jacked for week 2. We got players to watch in fantasy football that maybe are a sleeper pick this round. We got some game lines we really like. And we got a couple teams that need to avoid 0-2, and that's where we're going to start this off. Zoe, my man, there are a few teams that were going to be in the playoffs that people had high hopes for are now 0-1, looking at 0-2 in the face, and that would be the Green Bay Packers, obviously with the loss of Jordan Love. Cincinnati, who was deemed to be like Super Bowl bound, is 0-1 facing the Chiefs Sunday. And the Falcons, who acquired obviously Kirk Cousins, a lot of splash there. Oh, they're a quarterback away. Well, they're down 0-1, and they play the Eagles, who looked damn good last week. So you got any thoughts on these matchups?
Yeah, so I think when you look at the Kansas City Bengals,
bro, they look good too.
Bro, they did. That's going to be a tough game because we know that the Ravens were better than with what the Bengals were last year, at least in my opinion, right? I've made an AFC Championship pretty good. So then we got, Joe Burrow kind of coming back. Is he going to be the same without all of his great receivers, right? You basically had 3 Pro Bowl wide receivers.
Yeah, so how's it going to be now? There's a sneaky amount of pressure on Joey B.
Yeah. Well, and then you don't have Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's now with the Texans. What are you going to do with that?
You called that in our preseason talk.
Yep. And then you got Jordan Love. Hopefully Matt LaFleur can do some type of magic that Callahan couldn't do with Tennessee. Or not Callahan, it was a different guy. It was, I think, Arthur Smith or something like that. So we'll see, you know what I mean? It'll be pretty good. We also got Atlanta. Atlanta feels like they got all the pieces, right? You got Bijan, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Drake London, you got this group of younger guys that are pretty good. But then, like you said, you're a quarterback away. You get this quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I guess to lead this line of games up, we're talking about 0-2 and why that's such a bad thing is only 11% of teams make the playoffs after going 0-2.
Yeah.
I think I forgot to say that, but we're just too hyped here on the channel.
Yeah.
It's a funny place to be thinking that all those teams that were in the playoffs last year, or obviously Cincinnati folded early, but Joey B's got pressure on him. I think Green Bay, they may win this week, but I think they're in a world of hurt. Some teams tend to rally around a backup quarterback where everyone plays above par, but you can do that for one game. You can't do that for a stretch of 4. That's just, the nature of the beast.
Right, exactly. Well, and then Atlanta and Philly, right? Philly looked next level.
Looks good.
And then, now that field was trash, right? Like that was something that was said the whole time. You saw everyone slipping. I think the first carry for Saquon, he slipped. And it was a 2-yard loss. So we'll see. I mean, I think either way that Philly is definitely going to be better than Atlanta. So, what are you going to do there?
Yeah, and Cousins doesn't look great. They threw in a lot of shotgun, and I just think that's because his Achilles probably is not full send. But let's talk about the ratings. Ratings up 12%. It's a different time in American consumption of what we watch on TV. There are no shows that get you to watch live for the most part. The Game of Thrones kind of comes to mind, but there's not a lot of shows out there, but Americans love football.
Love it. We've been looking forward to this. I think you got some of that college hype, right? NCAA 25, you get that hype. And then you have, everything that happened last year. I think you're also
sports betting is obviously a lot more legal than it was 2-3 years ago.
Huge, right? And then just hear me out, right? You get that Taylor Swift push.
Ooh. That's a culture movement. That's bigger than anything itself.
Yeah, and we'll see, right? What is it, the 28th with when they're supposed to break up or whatever?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I can see it. All right. I did some recon. You played in the Vegas League on the fantasy football realm for a couple of years. My thought was this, okay? I looked at 2 or 3 preseason, top receivers, top running backs, just those 2 categories. And I basically ran the numbers. And I've highlighted some guys that maybe didn't score or even put up a lot of points week 1. And my thought is if you sample size those guys for a 2 or 3 game stretch, you're bound to catch up. And so my thought is, one, if you have these guys in your fantasy football lineup, but two, you might take these guys as an anytime touchdown type bet in the games this weekend, knowing they didn't score last week. It's like, dude, the odds of it coming around now are favorable. Let's go through this list. You can give me your thoughts here on guys to watch. All right, starting things off. Atlanta's running back Bijan Robinson did not score a touchdown last week. Next on the list, CeeDee Lamb, right? Like, it's bound to happen at this point.
Won money, right? He just got paid. Him and Dak both just got paid, so now you don't have all that stuff leading up to the game. Come on.
Yeah. Garrett Wilson, he had 60 yards but didn't get a touchdown, and so you got to think Rodgers is going to be firing a little bit. They were chasing the game last week. I like Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, and the receptions he had were good. You know what I mean? Like, they were good plays. A couple of them were tough catches. He had one over the middle, one on the sideline. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Here's one I really like doubling down on, Mr. Olave from Ohio State. He only had 11 yards receiving last week and no touchdowns. So it's like he's going to have a big day. They're playing well, and they've got a few other good receivers, so I don't think you can just zero in on Olave.
Yeah, I think that they'll make the adjustments this week, right? Like, Olave didn't have any touchdowns. He's going to have probably one, if not this week, next week for sure.
Yeah. Did you catch any rookies or anybody like maybe new that either had a good game or maybe stepped up for their squad that looks to be a rookie that's just doing a little better than average?
So what was it? It was Brian Thomas, I think, did pretty good.
Yeah, he had 47 yards and I think he caught a touchdown too.
Yeah, so I didn't get as too many rookies. I know there was the running back. I don't think he's a rookie, but the running back for, what was it, Miami?
I had a note here on Mr. Dobbins for the Chargers.
Yeah.
JK played really well, 137 yards and a touchdown, and he's a guy that's just been injury prone, was a really good college running back. Maybe this is the year he kind of actually hits his stride in the NFL.
Yeah, I think that he kind of had a rough go of it there in Baltimore. You know what I mean? Because he was always good at Ohio State. He was good. He's a big back, right? Hopefully he gets it together. And I think we all know that Harbaugh likes his running backs. You know what I mean? You got Blake Corum. You had Frank Gore. You know what I mean? You got a few good running backs, and I think that was kind of the offense he needs to be in.
Yeah. There was a clip that kind of went viral where JK and him were talking a little smack about Michigan-Ohio State ties. He goes, my running back used to beat me a lot, and now I'm just going to ride him. But it was pretty funny banter.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk lines and games. And you and I have a couple targets here that we really like. If you're a safe better, that Texans-Bears game is definitely a play, even at money line. I think the line's up there. It's like 6.5 points. Like, it's up there. But if you wanted to bet the Texans money line, I don't think that's a wrong play considering just the difference in quarterback. You have any thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, I think that's a really good one to pick. You get a defensive-minded head coach, right, and D'Amico Ryans. That defense has been killing it, right? So you're going to see a situation with where the Texans are going to start hitting that next stride, right, making that next step as far as like, hey, we're a really good team. We're going to make that next step. You get C.J. Stroud with a whole another year underneath his belt. And then in reality, Caleb Williams didn't play that good, right, when you look statistically. Didn't have that.
Dude, I heard guys breaking down the film at a second level. Not the best. Now, don't get me wrong. When he throws the ball, it looks cool. Like, it looks good coming out. But as far as schematically, what he was processing, he was very much one read. If it's there, good. If not, I'm throwing it away.
Right. And maybe that's what they're doing with him, right? Like, hey, keep it simple, right? We see that with Bo Nix, right? Bo Nix had that basic.
You pause on the Bo Nix. That's the next game. I got one more thought here on the Bears.
But but just the rookie quarterbacks, right? It's one of those, hey, we don't want to overload you with too much. Let's go ahead and just make one read and then just get rid of it.
Okay. So, final thought on the Bears. We also forget, weren't they down 20-some points and did not score an offensive touchdown? Also, they were last in the league as far as offensive yards last week. That's also why I really like double down on the Texans, folks.
Yep.
I'm bringing it, Zoe. I'm bringing it.
You are. You're on it today.
Okay. Final note here. This hits home. Zoe, you're a Broncos fan. They faced Pittsburgh, Boom, baby. So last week, obviously, Pittsburgh won somehow against Atlanta. That lost me some cash. But this week, that game, I believe you can go the Broncos side of it and get positive money, or you can get a couple points if you want to play the game lines. I kind of like that because I'm looking at it from a 2-game perspective. Like, no way does Pittsburgh string 2 in a row. My only X factor is Justin Fields. Like he could go for like 120 yards rushing, and yes, they could lose the game. But I just don't. I never thought I'd be seeing Pittsburgh winning like 2 out of 3 in games, in 3-game segments of the season.
Right, exactly. Especially with the issues with quarterback, right? Like, even if you go, like, stay with Justin Fields, right? Because the whole thing was Mike Tomlin's like, hey, we're Russell Wilson or bust, right? Like, but you see you have a win last week. What are you going to do? Throw Wilson in there and just forget about Fields? No way. So you look at that, and I just think that it'll be a good game, right? Because Pittsburgh's defense is out of this world. And
Tomlin has a crazy record about covering.
Yeah. Isn't it something crazy with where it's like he's like it's like 70% or something like that?
But it might be an underdog stat. I don't have anything in front of me, but I still think I'm going to take the Broncos in the points. Bo Nix was one of the best looking of the rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I like him to maybe have a bounce back week, if we can call it that.
Yeah. I think Bo Nix, he'll be pretty good. I think he made those rookie throws, but again, he threw the ball 42 times. Right, that's a lot for a rookie to throw the ball. They were also playing behind, right? So we'll see about that. Also, did you see? Not to step off, it popped up on my phone. Christian McCaffrey, IR, 4 weeks.
Interesting. But their dude who was in looked to be running hard. He was running like out of his mind, and I think he's a guy who's bounced around the league and went to like a smaller Division I college. I can't even think, but he looked good though.
Yeah, he did. So I think Christian McCaffrey obviously is an all-world back, but I think like this step in of get that Shanahan offense one cut and go.
Mm-hmm.
Golden.
Yeah, that may help them long term because if McCaffrey jumps into the season a third or fourth away of it being completed, he gets to the playoffs and it doesn't have the wear and tear. Now that's a big if he recovers to 100%, but that's just a thought I just had is he may hit the postseason and have a little extra gas.
Yep, exactly.
So, all right, guys, this is just 2 dudes bullshitting in the garage. If you need a garage bar, let us know. That's what we make. All right, we're out.